Welcome to Riverdale. I'm your host, Bob Barth, and on this week's podcast, we are going deep into Chapter 5, The Heart of Darkness, with our very own Lili Reinhart as Betty Cooper and Madelaine Petsch, your very own Cheryl Blossom.
Archie.
Betty. Veronica.
Jughead.
I'm Cheryl Blossom.
For one shining moment, we were just kids. The bright neon lights of Pops keeping the darkness at bay.
Lili and Madelaine, how are you guys doing?
Enjoying the sun today.
Yeah, the sun is out in LA finally after weeks of,
Snow in
6
Vancouver.
months of snow and rain. It's nice to feel the sun a little bit.
On my pale body.
So that's a great point. So and one of the reasons we're being able to talk to the cast now is you guys are finally coming back from Vancouver.
Yeah.
You were up there starting in
End of August.
End of August,
Yeah.
and just got back a week ago.
Just got
Yeah.
back.
I just got back 2 days ago.
Yeah, she was visiting her family, and I came straight back, and
Missed me instantly.
I missed her so much. She was my roommate. I don't know if you knew
We
that.
lived together in Vancouver.
in Van.
I heard.
Yeah,
Well-
Millie.
Millie, that's our name apparently.
I
Our ship.
are we
name.
shipping that?
We're shipping.
I mean,
it.
I ship Millie.
I will tell you right now. I am old enough that I had to ask a coworker when people ship something, are they writing a story? And she explained to me that no, it's just a want for a relationship.
Oh, I didn't know
Oh,
that
I
until a year ago.
Okay, good.
No, this is a new thing for me.
Okay.
Yeah, ship is not part of my
Ship
regular vocabulary.
And stan, like I
Yeah,
stand.
I still don't know
them.
what stan means though.
Stan worthy.
But what is stan
I'm so
worthy?
glad I stan her.
I get that it's like I'm a fan, right? But like, what is
Right.
stan?
Yeah.
Like,
It's
I
like,
stand for
I think
her?
it means no. Like for example, I'm so glad I stan Madelaine,
Right.
and
I
that
understand
would
that. I
mean,
understand the context, but what
that
is the
would
true
mean-
definition?
Like I'm so glad I'm a fan.
I think it's such an interesting word. I want to know where that came from.
Stan. I don't.
It's another way for the young people to talk in code.
Right. Exactly.
It's very upsetting to us.
Me too.
People, good. I love it.
I'm an octogenarian at heart.
No, well, I'm not there yet.
At heart.
Halfway there. Very sad. Okay, I want to talk to you guys first about your background. So, Lili, let's start with you. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Cleveland. Yeah, Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland,
Bay
Ohio.
Village. Little town on Lake Erie.
Okay. And what's the first spark in your life that brings the industry into view for you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I grew up doing theater, so I was always kind of exposed to it. I always chose theater over sports.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God, because, man, I was terrible at anything athletic, and I still am. But my first time being in front of a camera, basically, was when I was 12. I did a PBS pilot, and I was the lead in that. And that was kind of my first real acting gig outside of theater, and I fell in love with it instantly and I knew like that was what I wanted to pursue and keep pursuing, and just getting the validation of getting that role was someone telling me that I had the talent to do it. It wasn't just my parents or community theater or me convincing myself. It was someone from an outsider's perspective or a couple people saying that I was on the right track.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I was 12, basically it was my first time in front of a camera.
So were you coming from Cleveland? Did the parents bring you to Los Angeles?
No, the PBS pilot was filmed in Pittsburgh.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't move to Los Angeles until 2 years ago. And even then, when I first moved here, I only lived here for 6 months and then moved back home because I was miserable.
Right.
So I did everything, like basically from either Ohio or North Carolina, which is where I moved when I was 16. I mean, it was all self-tapes and driving to New York and flying to LA on our own dime. And so, yeah, I kind of did it from outside of LA.
And I have to ask, where in North Carolina?
Charlotte.
In Charlotte.
Yeah.
Very good. I went and married a North Carolinian.
Okay, you did.
So, yes, by marriage, I'm North Carolinian.
Okay, got it. It's beautiful. But I'm biased, and I'm an Ohio girl.
I completely understand.
Yeah.
And Madelaine, where are you from originally?
I'm from Washington State, but I'm also from South Africa.
That's a mic drop.
It is a mic drop.
Interview over.
That's it.
All right, so explain how that happens.
So my parents are both from South Africa.
Okay.
And I was born in Washington State and raised in South Africa for about 7 years of my life. And it just wasn't safe enough, and it wasn't what I wanted to do or what my parents wanted to do. And so they moved me back to Washington State. And I did all of my formative years there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. All my family's still there, though, and I've got dual citizenship.
Really?
Yeah, I feel really lucky to be able to have that.
How often are you able to get back?
Recently, not at all, but before I used to go back every year and try to keep in touch with my extended family. It's quite difficult when they're so far away.
Now, I actually have been tracking via the podcast people who are diehards of the show, which I assume if you're a diehard, you're listening to this podcast. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen South Africa yet, but I'm going to have to check.
It only aired in South Africa last Friday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it
Excellent.
just started airing on Mnet last Friday.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it will start.
Mm-hmm.
The boom will start. That's great. And so for you, what was the thing that sparked it for you?
You know, I've always known what I wanted to do. I've always been a performer. I went into dance at 3, and I was a professionally trained dancer, competitive dancer for 17 years, and went into musical theater at 5 and just found my calling. Like, I knew I wanted to be a performer. I hadn't decided whether I wanted to do dance or theater yet. And then I got the opportunity to go to a beautiful arts high school in Tacoma, Washington called SODA, and it changed my life. It gave me a new perspective on, you know, you really can make a life out of your art. I think the small town that I grew up in, Washington, was kind of always putting me down a little bit in the way that they didn't necessarily believe that I could move to LA and do what I wanted to do. And I think up until I booked the show, they still kind of didn't believe it. Proved them wrong. But, you know, I went to this arts high school, and they were so free thinking, and they were so supportive, and I did a lot of theater there, and then went to LA at 16 and got an agent and a manager and started auditioning from Washington. And then moved here right out of school at 18 and just worked 3 jobs until I booked some stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you and I have something in common that I discovered on Twitter from long ago.
Oh.
We both performed in Aladdin Jr.
You were in Aladdin Jr.?
I was...
Don't even.
All right. So here's the deal. Aladdin, Aladdin came out, I think, in 92.
I think so, yeah.
So before I think there even technically was an Aladdin Jr.,
You were
it
in
was
it?
lovingly ripped off by a local dance troupe. I was a musical theater guy for 20 years. So yeah, I was the genie in Aladdin in this production that was done by a dance studio. So they basically would do these production numbers, and then it would be, okay, let's cart all of the 4-year-old girls out to tumble, and then let's do another number from Aladdin.
Sounds
So
amazing.
you had the post about Aladdin Jr., and I went,
Yeah, I mean, mine's not such a glorious story. I played the carpet.
That's so wonderful.
I was a tap dancing carpet. I had no
Mads
lines.
the carpet.
But I had I literally wore like a carpet outfit, and I had tap dancing shoes on, and I just tap danced, and people would hold onto my shoulders and ride me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did they lay on you or?
No, I would tap dance, and they would hold onto the back of my
Right.
shoulders, and I would tap dance around, and then they'd be in a new place.
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
It was probably my best role yet.
Well, I
Your
won't tell Roberta. That's great. And so now we're going to get to Riverdale. So I know both of your stories will be a little different. Lili, how do you hear about the audition?
Well, as with everything, I get sent my audition from my agents and manager. And I remember it was November 2015. I remember it was November 15th. I remember the details. I got sent the script, and I had just had this conversation with my team about how I was going to be a little more open-minded as to what I auditioned for. And I had this very particular idea of the actress I wanted to be and the roles I wanted to go out for.
Sure.
And at that point in time, Betty, the idea of Betty, the girl that I thought Betty was probably going to be in the show, didn't fit the bill for me. You know, I was like, I don't want to play the girl next door. That's typical. But I didn't know. You know, I didn't know what was really underneath the Betty in our show.
Yeah.
So, but I remember getting the script. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll read it. Let me take a look. I didn't want to be, as, you know, everyone, I didn't want to be typecast as the sweet pushover girl. And, you know, Mads didn't want to be typecast as the bitch. And
I have been.
Well, no, there's so much more to Cheryl than that. But same with Betty, you know, reading the script, I realized this girl is not only very sweet and quite literally lives next to Archie, but she, as we've seen so far, has a dark side and is dealing with a lot of anxiety and kind of the weight of the world on her shoulder. And she's kind of keeping her family together in a way. And so there's so much more than meets the eye with Betty. And I instantly, when I read the pilot, was like, wow, this is, I feel like the next big thing, or so I hope. And so I got that audition in November, and I at the time I was living in North Carolina, and I had lived in LA earlier that year from like February to June, and I had booked a film, but I wasn't making any money. I was struggling health-wise. Like, my health was really bad. I needed to go home. So I went back to North Carolina and kind of sat on my ass for 6 months a little bit and really was contemplating whether or not I wanted to do this anymore.
Right.
And because it was just so hard and taxing and was just really taking a toll on my mental health and also my physical health. And so kind of when I got the audition, I was very much at a crossroads with whether I wanted to continue this or not. Right. But I decided to do it anyways. I taped with my mom, and I remember it was such a stressful experience for me because I wasn't in the right headspace to audition. Sure. But I made the self-tape anyways, but it took me like 3 hours to film these, I think, 2 scenes. But at the end, I was just kind of like, fine, whatever. It's not going to get any better than that, so we'll just send it in. And I sent it in, and my manager had me retape again with notes, and I was like, okay, let's do it. And then finally my audition got to our casting director, and I was told no at first, which is understandable because I think my tape wasn't very good. But I just wasn't Betty for them yet. And I was like, okay, you know, this happens every day. You get rejected and told no every single day, so it's not a big deal. So I didn't really think about it again. And then I made up my mind and decided to move to LA again, take the leap. And I moved in January of 2016. And I think it was 2 days after I moved, my manager called me and said, so they still haven't found Betty. And I think you're so right for this role. I just think, you know, being in the room and auditioning in front of the casting director will make a world of a difference. So I think you should go in again. And I said, okay, of course, I'm always down to do that. So I went in again, or I guess in person for the first time, and had a completely just new take on her and kind of was able to breathe life into her a little bit more, especially being in the room with a casting director makes so much difference. Yeah. And I don't know, I guess something clicked, and David, our casting director, who's amazing, he noticed the difference, and I went back again, and I went back again for a producer's work session, and then I tested twice, and I finally got it on February 8th. I remember I got the call, amazing. And it was just like tears and of happiness, just relief, utter relief. And my team on the phone, they were like, this is going to change everything. This is your face on a billboard. And ironically now my face is on a billboard in LA, but it's like, That's how it happened for me. I was told no first, which I think is kind of amazing, makes it a little bit better. But I feel like for all of us, it was not easy. It was not an easy, yep, it's you, here we go. It was like we were all like told no first, and we were all kind of shuffled around and put on hold and brought back in a couple times. And I mean, Mads has kind of a long, complicated story as well.
Great segue.
That was so good.
Take it away, Mads.
Yeah, you're right. They were very, very particular. I actually was driving. I used to be a personal assistant in Venice to this really lovely couple. And I was driving to work, and I got a call from my agent, and he was like, you have to go to this audition. It's a guest star on Legends of Tomorrow. It's for David Rappaport. And Rappaport told me, actually, his assistant told me 3 years ago that I was too green, that I couldn't. And I was like, oh, my God, I haven't gone back since. I was so nervous. And, like, for me at that point, it was, like, a big milestone I had to leap over. So I went in for Legends of Tomorrow for this audition, same day. And I was like, oh, my God, dying of nerves. And then I went in, and Tanya, his assistant, read me. And she was like, oh, you're lovely. You're great for this role. Can you come back later today for producers? And I was like, sure, whatever. So I came back at 4. And in the room, David was like, Cheryl Blossom. And I was like, what? And he's like, I'm sorry. You're perfect for a pilot I'm doing right now. It's not going to happen for a while, but just give it a couple of months. And I was like, give it a couple of months. Okay, I'm going to kill myself. So yeah, I went home. I didn't think anything of it. It was great to know that he liked me. And that was kind of the thing that I was trying to get over, was just like this awkwardness that I felt towards the office itself. Right. And then I got a call the next day, and they're like, they want you to come in and read for producers for Betty on Thursday, which was like the next day.
Had you auditioned for Betty at all?
I hadn't auditioned for anything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I went in for producers for Betty, and they were like, basically they called the next day and said, you're pinned for Cheryl. I had no idea who Cheryl was. I didn't get a script. And I was like, okay, great. And then I waited 4 months. Like, literally every day I was like knocking down the door, like, what is going on? I mean, it was like my first big thing. Like, I'm pinned for a series regular on a TV show. This is amazing. Didn't hear anything until January, when they finally had some sides for Cheryl. Came in for producers, and instantly Lee Krieger, our director, was in the room. And after I did the first scene, which was the pilot scene where I walk up to the lunchroom table. Yeah. That was my first scene for the audition. He stood up and started clapping and was like, that's a wrap. We got it. This is our girl. No questions asked. And so I was like, this is amazing. And then David and Roberto called me afterwards and were like, okay, so you've got a studio and a network test coming up. Like, here are some notes. This is exactly what the studio and network want. Like, studios this Friday. And they really gave me like a comprehensive breakdown of all the notes they wanted for Cheryl. So I came in quite prepared for the studio test on Friday, and did it the first time for all of Warner Brothers, and went back out, and I felt really good about it. And then they're like, okay, we have more notes, and they pulled me out. And so there was 2 more girls with me. And I think it was kind of awkward, because like they went in, I came back out, and then they stayed, and I just kept going back in and out with notes over and over and over again. And they're like, okay, right after I was done, he was like, you made it to network test. And I was like, this is amazing. So I went to network test. Ashley was there at the time. Ashley plays Josie. And right before I went in, they gave me more notes. And they called me the night before and given me, I mean, like, I was on the phone with David and Roberto.
How many notes?
Literally, they change their mind all the time. And I was on the phone with them probably 6 times, just about the role and everything. And so I went in for network, and he's like, this is it. After this, you've booked it. Like, you've already booked it with us, so you just have to book the room. He's like, this is gonna be it. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, ooh, so exciting. So I went in, and then I did it, and they laughed, and they had a great time. And then I went out, and then David and Roberto were like, can you do it again? We have more notes. I was like, yeah, whatever. And he was like, go really emotional with this one. And so I did a completely different take on Cheryl, and they seemed to like it. And I went home, and I was waiting for the call. And then I was at UPS, and I got a phone call from David, and he was like, okay, so there's good news and bad news. And I was like, oh my God, don't say that ever. Like, worst way to open up a conversation.
No kidding.
And he was like, the good news is they loved you. He's like, the bad news is, in order to get them on board, you have to go chemistry read tomorrow. And he's like, I promise this is the last hoop. And, you know, at this point, I was kind of like, maybe they don't like me as much as I thought they did. Or I was feeling a little bit nervous. And so I went in, and I met Lily at the chemistry read. And
I had already been cast at that point. So I was chemistry reading with Madelaine and also another option for Veronica, not Camila at the time. And also KJ was there, and I chemistry read with him, and another option for Archie. Which was kind of amazing to, to see, she got it.
The
she
gang
got
come
the role.
Together, so we did that.
After I read with KJ, I was like, yep, he's the one.
So you knew as far as that, you just could tell personally there was enough chemistry there. that this is the guy.
Well, yeah, but also just like he just felt like Archie.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I didn't have any say in who was cast.
Of course.
But, like, my fingers were crossed when I left. And for Mads as well. But
Well, you do get a sense of who you would like to spend 9 months of your life in
Right.
Vancouver with.
yeah.
Although I was extremely quiet when you met me. Very, very reserved, which is like the opposite of me, which is
No,
hilarious.
you weren't super reserved. I remember you were nervous.
I was beyond
Right,
nervous.
but,
'Cause
like-
I jumped through so many hoops at that point. I was like, they don't want me anymore.
Right, but you sat down next to me and I was like, hi, like I'm Lily, I play Betty, and you're like, oh yeah, congratulations, I'm Madelaine, and I was like, Madelaine, and she was like, and I was like, oh wait, did you say Madelaine? And she was like, yep, thanks for correcting.
Story of my life.
And now, like, you know, having lived with her and spent so much time with her, I realize
Happens a lot.
Oh my god, it happens.
I
way
hate
too
her
much.
so much. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's an automatic thing.
She
If
does it all
someone-
the time now.
If
yeah.
someone says Madelaine, I'm like Madelaine. It's just an
and I don't even
automatic-
do that.
It's
She
an
does it for
automatic
me.
thing.
Well, that's nice. You have
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a personal verbal bouncer,
corrector.
name corrector.
A name corrector, yeah.
That's a really good title for you. I'm gonna get you a trophy from Hollywood Boulevard. That says
Thank
that.
you so much.
That's awesome. Well, that's great. Yeah, the people don't realize that this industry is so little information that is given to you over an extraordinary long period
Oh
of
my God,
time.
yes.
And the only thing you can do is drive yourself crazy.
100%.
Like,
You're asking
sleep-
so many questions.
Yeah.
You can't sleep. You're nervous.
Yeah.
And when you're not told what the progress is,
Yeah.
you make it up in your own
Yeah, of
mind.
course.
100%.
And it's never good. You
No.
never
Right.
go, well, clearly this is all going to work out.
Right. Exactly.
It's the
Yeah.
worst case scenario.
Right.
I mean, I was lucky enough to have Roberto and David telling me the whole time that they don't even have any other options for Cheryl, so it's
Right.
me. Like they put all their faith in me, but still, of course, I was nervous.
I
and
certainly didn't have
psycho and
Yeah.
being a crazy person. And then from start to finish, I started in October with my audition process. I booked it February 24th, and now it aired. So it's been like a year and a half since we started the project. Even
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's been
October to now.
it's February. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a year, a little over a year for me.
Yeah, I booked it in 2 days. It'll have been a year since I booked it. That's
well,
crazy.
That is
you know,
crazy.
it's good. It's
How are
good.
we going to celebrate?
By having our own show on the television.
On the television? I remember this moment when we were living together, and we get loopy after long days of work for obvious reasons.
Mm.
And I was in the elevator, and we were probably doing something really stupid and awkward, and I'm sure they were watching on the cameras and laughing. And I looked over at her and was like, you know what? I think we need our own TV show.
And I was like,
She's like,
we do.
I was like, oh, wait, we do.
She was thinking more
love it.
Real Housewives of Riverdale.
No, Real World Riverdale.
Real World Riverdale edition.
That'd be awful.
So
That'd
what
be
you would need to
terrible.
do is after you're done shooting, have a camera team just follow you guys around
God.
Vancouver.
Sounds like the most boring show.
People would hate it. I'd be like reading and drinking tea, and they'd be
There'd
like,
be-
give us something.
Me laying in bed watching Breaking Bad. Like, that's what I'm doing right now.
Nice.
Just rewatching.
Of course, of
I've
course.
already seen it.
No, it's great. And then you're right. When it finally does happen, it all happens so fast.
0 to 100.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we were on a plane to Vancouver like within 2 weeks after I booked it.
Yeah. And
Stuck
God.
with this one.
yeah, stuck with me.
Now, how did you guys decide that, it's okay, we're going to have to come up with living arrangements?
Well, we filmed the pilot and we were able to kind of, I don't know.
But we didn't like hang out a bunch in the pilot.
We didn't, but we realized after the pilot, I still didn't have like a lot of friends here because I had just kind of relocated back,
Sure.
and Mads and I got along, and
We live super close.
and we live very
here.
close to each other. So we started hanging out, and kind of after the pilot was when our friendship really, kind of, got
We
stronger.
became
I guess
the weirdos that we are today.
Yeah, and so it was kind of after that we were like, I don't want to live in Vancouver by myself. You
Sure.
don't want to live in Vancouver by yourself. Let's go at this together because it'll be so much easier. And we're
To
both
have a unit.
we're both little like balls of anxiety all the time.
We're homebodies.
We're homebodies. We have a lot of the same. I don't.
Characteristics.
Sure. Yeah. I guess so.
Finish each other's...
Sandwiches.
Done!
Yeah, we're very similar in our personality and the way we look at things and the things that I'm like paranoid constantly. So actually, I think she has to deal with a lot of my craziness. I'd be like, oh my God, this person texted me and said this. What does this mean? And she's like, it means hi. Like they said hi. Like it means hi. I'm like, all right, cool, great.
I'm your little I'm your conscience.
You kind of are. Like, you're the angel on my shoulder, and then I'm my own devil on my shoulder.
True.
So you guys go and shoot the pilot. It's coming along together. And then for network television, there's the period of the pilot then flows around the industry, and someone needs to make a decision, and that decision will dictate the next year of your life.
The night before it got picked up, I was with Lili,
and
I was having a breakdown. I went over there and I had ordered a salad. Do you remember that?
She used Postmates and ordered a salad from like Tender Greens or something, and it got delivered and there was cheese on it, and she's a vegan, and she was like, I ordered a vegan salad. Why is there cheese on it?
It's called the Happy Vegan. Come on.
So she called and was like, excuse me, there's, cheese on my salad. And
this is a less than happy vegan.
Yeah. And they're like, oh my God, yeah, we'll send you another one. And they did. And it had cheese on it again.
So naturally at this point I start crying.
So she started to cry.
Like bawling.
No, not bawling, but
clearly they're out to screw you.
She was very stressed out. We were both extremely stressed out
and nervous
from waiting.
And we were confident in what we had made. Like, we were really proud of our work, but at the same time, you never know.
You needed that stamp of approval and the final word from someone, and we didn't know when we were going to get it, and that was so hard. But yeah, that was a rough night. But then the next day, didn't we watch the pilot the next day that we got picked up, or no?
We watched the pilot before we got picked up.
Then we just came in to have lunch with David the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we came into the office and we had lunch with Roberto and David, and we were like, oh my God, we just need to hear. This is so stressful.
Like noon, right?
Yeah, at noon, and then we got home.
I had an audition. I was at my audition at 2, and where were you?
I was at home Skyping.
Yeah, you were, and then we all got a group text. No, I saw it on Deadline.
We got a group text from our cast, and
we were all freaking out, and I literally got up and left the audition.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't need this anymore. Bye.
I started crying. I called my mom, and I was on Skype at the time when I found out, and I was like, oh my God, it got picked up. And I just remember I had to go like meet with publicists later that day, but I was like, I just, like, if ever a person was glowing, I have to say I was glowing. Yeah. I felt like a neon sign. I was just like...
And for days after that, too.
Yeah, I just felt like, thank God. Like, thank God. This is all I could ever want, is to be a working actor.
Totally.
Which is
100%.
a lot harder
than it seems
than people think.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And one of the things that was amazing to me, I was actually working at Berlanti Productions when... there was just a script. And Carl Ogawa had handed me the script. He goes, read this, let me know what you think. And not like my opinion mattered, just let's see what you think of the script. Yeah. So I loved it immediately. One, I grew up with the Archie comic characters, so there was that familiarity, and there's so much music in the script, in the pilot script. And I was like, and every part of my musical theater background just sort of went, I so want to see this show. This is great. And then you guys went and shot the pilot, and I got to see an early assembly of the pilot. And there is, at least there was for me, there was a bit of a learning curve as far as what I knew about the Archie universe and what Riverdale is.
Totally.
And I think the first 2 acts of that pilot, I was kind of still wrapping my head around what this is. Yeah. Something happens in the 3rd act where it shifts gear, and you're like, I'm all in. And it is so good and so compelling. And performances are only get better. Like when we came over here and started doing assembly on 2 and 3, which were shot by the same director as your pilot, Lee, who also just shot your finale, which is, you guys have no idea what you're in store for.
Wait, have you seen something?
He's our secret weapon.
Lee literally is our secret weapon, 100%.
It's the magic ingredient.
Like, can we have him forever?
We love him.
We love Lee.
Oh, absolutely. And when you have a director do your pilot, he's establishing a lot. He's establishing tone.
He's invested and he's passionate.
So. Absolutely.
So he came back for his little baby.
So and to do the pilot, to do back 2 and 3, and then to come back for the finale, which is crazy.
Oh,
it is so good.
Excuse me, have you seen footage or something? You're talking like you've seen footage.
Well, we were there filming it, so we know.
But I want to see footage, you know?
Right. We'll cross that bridge.
I'm literally obsessed with the ending. It's so good. I have so many questions about how things played out.
Let me put it to you like this. It's crazy great. You're going to love it.
Yeah.
Woo!
We're trying to get a 90-minute finale.
Oh, I'm ready
Are
for
we?
2 hour. Let's
Well,
just take
because
it to the movie theater.
There is so much stuff in the
Absolutely.
finale.
Yeah.
We're there's no way you can fit that into 43 minutes. So we're I don't know what miracle needs to happen, but
We'll make it happen.
Well, the CW's listening to this.
okay, good.
CW,
Hi, guys.
Hi.
We really,
We love an hour and a half for the last episode.
the 90-minute, come
I
on.
agree.
That was a really good pitch.
Yeah,
I like
thank
that.
you.
The 90-minute,
Come on. I think people will love it.
I
We'll
love
pull
it.
a Ryan Murphy like he
I-
does with American Horror Story. Every
Oh, yeah.
episode is
Yeah.
an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my little pitch.
Absolutely.
It was a good one.
Thanks.
I'd buy it.
So let's dig into what we came to
The
talk about.
Heart of Darkness.
Episode
Episode
5.
five.
Chapter 5. The Heart of Darkness.
Chapter.
Okay, so at the top here, we're going to get into Cheryl's dream. Very gothic. Walking down.
And I can't even see my facial expressions. I wish you guys could see what I was doing. 'Cause it's all kind of creepy.
It's amazing.
It's always creepy.
It's
What?
amazing. Well, I'll say this to you personally now, Madelaine, only because I believe I've said this to everyone I've spoken to on every single one of these podcasts. You are able to convey so many different emotions within such a short period of time. It's like acting gymnastics. I think my favorite moment, and actually I truly believe it should be taught in acting for television, is the shot on you at I think it's the pilot, yeah, where the Archie goes into the closet with Veronica, and Betty storms out, and the shot is on you, and you feel sad, proud, a little happy, don't care, all in a matter of about 2 seconds. I mean, it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
She's got loads of layers. I'll tell you that much.
And we're going to talk a lot about all these moments, but boy, you guys, David Rappaport, big a hand for him because across the board performances are so incredibly solid, and everyone brings such a different flavor to the show. And Betty is always very grounded, and we need her to be grounded. Archie's very grounded for the most part. Cheryl is not. Not even a little bit. But it's interesting. I was talking to our associate producer, Amy Myrold, and editor Dan Holland a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about the fact that there's some interesting parallels between your character and Alice Cooper, played by Machen, that you're able to have these sort of almost operatic big moments, but you're able to also keep the character grounded in such a way that you get away with murder, because in a next moment,
Possibly quite literally.
great. Now no, could you imagine? And that's who did it.
It's a possibility.
Possibility. No, and you're able to, and then you get the audience on your side. There's something about Cheryl's damage that is extremely relatable, and you see how she got to where she is. But I don't want either one of you's egos to swell too much during this, so we'll move right along. So yeah, the top here is Cheryl's dream. Actually, this is a good point to talk about. Your wardrobe is spectacular on this show.
I miss my wardrobe already. I just want to go in there and hug it all. I'm obsessed with my wardrobe. That red dress from The Nightmare, it was custom made for me by our amazing seamstress, Lori. They had to the day that we were shooting it, I had to come in and they're like, oh, we actually have to fire retardant the dress. It's like, excuse me? What did you say? They're like, oh, there's going to be open flame around you. We need a fire retardant the dress. And I was like, okay, great. So they did it, and then they, the woman who did it dry cleaned it or like washed it, and it's silk, and so it shrunk.
Oh, no.
And they were so nervous. The day that I shot it, I had to try it on, and it fit perfectly, thank the Lord. But I'm constantly obsessed and amazed with the clothing they put on me. I mean, but I also have, like, Rebecca gives us a lot of say.
Yeah.
Our wardrobe designer, she kind of like, where it's a collaboration.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we know our characters so well, and she's got such a good idea. We kind of meld them together to make it work.
Yeah, everything is very collaborative
on the show
in every aspect.
Yeah.
Makeup, hair, wardrobe, even the lay of each. You know, our characters is very.
If we don't think something works, we can talk to Roberto about it.
Yeah.
And it's an open discussion.
It's an open discussion. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Riverdale is such a cool, little out of time world that, you know, Betty, there are so many scenes where Betty looks like she's right out of the 1950s in the best possible way.
Yeah.
And Cheryl, there is always something big and bold and operatic about Cheryl,
Right.
Even in her own dream sequences. But in real life, oh my gosh, you come down in this episode when you come and speak at the funeral in the white.
Ooh,
Holy
that music
cow.
they put behind it was perfect. Like, it
Yep.
actually is, like, it gives me chills, like, watching it. Like, it's so creepy. Cheryl's
So
so creepy.
So creepy. So, all right, back in here. The top, we got Cheryl's dream. You're going to descend the stairs, and then we see zombie Jason behind you.
Yeah, we do. He's scary.
Scary.
He also didn't show me his makeup until we actually did that scene, and so I genuinely was terrified.
Yeah.
Were you?
Yeah. Yes.
Although I have to say, even zombie Jason is not as disgusting as dead bloated Jason.
Dead bloated body.
Is horrific.
I loved that thing with my whole heart.
We just kept watching it when we would get the footage over here because there were so many versions of it where he
Right.
was not covered. That was nauseating to look at.
Oh,
We were like,
definitely.
This can't go on
That
TV.
thing was around for a couple episodes, and I was like,
Yeah.
when are we going to are we done with the body
Yeah,
yet?
is the body gonna be laid to rest?
It'll go to a museum, the Riverdale Museum.
Right.
Now, in this scene, you wake up and Penelope comes in and tells Cheryl, you will not be speaking at the funeral.
Yeah. I think it had been a kind of a constant conversation, and Penelope's kind of done with Cheryl's antics and her craziness, and Cheryl truly just wants to have some kind of closure with the death of her brother, and nobody really understands that, and she's not very good at like truly emoting how she's feeling, and so she ends up doing these big things that no one understands and thinks she's just trying to get attention, when in reality she is trying to get attention, but it's just because she's hurt and lonely and needs closure. I mean, her brother died.
Totally.
And nobody gave her a chance to even really take it in.
Absolutely. After that, we're going to see Archie hitting a punching bag, Rocky style.
I will never complain if I have to watch that for the rest of my life.
It's just one more opportunity for KJ to be performing without clothing.
Yes. We're always down for that.
Looking good. And we learned that his idea here is that he is going to get really, really good at football so that he can get a sports scholarship into a school where he can learn music.
Right.
So in our next scene, we got Betty and Jughead and Kevin are recreating the crime board that had been
Right.
destroyed.
Yeah, they're in the blue and gold, and they are putting together what Kevin said his dad, the sheriff, looked like. Oh, yeah, there we go. So with, Kevin's help, they're kind of trying to solve the mystery themselves.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, there's a little conversation about whether or not Betty's going to have a date with Trev.
Yeah,
Ooh la la.
Trev comes in, and Betty kind of perks up a little bit, and but she claims that, and Betty's like, oh, okay, this cute guy wants to go out with me. Of course I'll go out with him. But she does know that he was on the water polo team with Jason. And so the first, the biggest and most forefront thing in Betty's mind right now is her sister, and she knows that maybe she can get some information from Trev.
Right.
So that's her main priority. But if but he's cute, so she's gonna, enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do get a little bit of a reaction from Jughead.
We do. A little bit of
an eyebrow raise.
I wonder why.
Excuse me?
Interesting. Then there's going to be the Bulldog scrimmage. Archie's tackled. Coach is unhappy and calls them over. Reggie and Archie are going to duke it out to become captain.
Duke it out, boys.
They're going to duke it out. Then we're going to go over to Hermione over at Pop's Chocolate Shop Diner. And
Fred.
Rejects Fred.
She goes, "Hey, I'm married," and he's like, "Well, we went on a date the other night."
Yeah, you were also
you
married
weren't married
the other
last
night.
night, apparently. So
I think, I guess that doesn't matter here in Riverdale.
Hermione Lodge is full of secrets.
Yes, she is. Poor Fred. That's all we gotta say.
Fred is.
I've got to say, I've got such a soft spot for Fred. I just
Definitely.
think
Just wait till episode 8.
I mean, Luke as well, but like Fred is just.
Luke as well.
Luke is great, but Fred is better.
Well, I
Team
hope we
Fred.
get him.
Team Fred. I ship Fred by himself.
Cheryl and Fred.
He is the
Cheryl
most.
and. I can't say it. Okay, Cheryl. I ship Cheryl and FP.
Oh, Cheryl and FP Jones.
All right.
We'll just leave that as it is.
Sure. Very dangerous. Fred is, not only is he the father of the year, the most understanding father ever born.
Yeah.
With
But
the best advice as well.
with great advice.
Yeah.
That was something that stuck with me from the pilot.
Oh.
His scene with
Outside?
Archie on the porch. Yeah.
The decisions you make, those stick with you.
Yeah.
So good.
It's great. And it's
They
something.
define who you are
And
who
what
you'll
you become.
All right.
Be confident enough in the decisions that you don't have to lie.
How many times have we seen our own
Scary.
show?
How many
Way
times
too
have
many.
you?
Way too many.
That's really great. Actually, it would be great. What you should do in your off season.
Reenact.
I'm thinking a reenactment by the two of you of the entire pilot live on stage.
If we're going to do that,
Oh,
I'm Betty and
Lord.
you're Cheryl. That's my only caveat.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Because I feel like we probably know each other's lines well enough.
I think there will come a day when we all get to play each other's characters in an episode.
That'd be so nice.
Just
Like a
as, like-
Halloween episode or something.
No, it would
Roberto,
be like,
listen up.
it would be like like a dream
Ooh,
sequence. And we all
yeah.
flip roles.
Riverdale loves their
I'd be
dream
Veronica
sequences.
though, I'm sure.
And Veronica would be Betty.
You would be.
I'd be Archie.
You'd be no.
Just to swap with any redhead.
You would be Reggie.
Come on! I'd be Jughead, and Jughead would be Cheryl. That'd be hilarious. I'd watch that.
That wouldn't make any sense.
That's the whole point.
Okay.
I'd eat loads of burgers.
Says the vegan.
Vegan
Just as long as it's not
burgers.
cheese.
Or meat.
Or meat. Meat being the other
Big factor.
non-vegetarian part of that. So, Fred is turned down once again by Hermione. It's, poor guy can't get a break. After that, we're over to back at the high school on the bleachers. Betty, Veronica, Jug, Archie, and Kevin are going to have lunch. Valerie arrives and gives Archie Oscar Castillo's contact information for Tim to be mentored.
Yeah.
And then Cheryl arrives.
Dun, dun.
As per usual, showing up unannounced and uninvited. Also not wanted.
Not on, and then inviting the group to a memorial that she wants them at, doesn't want them at. It's the most aggressive invitation.
So I think deep down, we've kind of spoken about this a little bit. Cheryl wants so badly to be a part of this group of friends who's so tight-knit and close, but doesn't really know how, and so she kind of just forces herself in. That being said, Cheryl has a weird thing with Veronica and her mother, and my mom forced me to invite them. So
Right.
it was kind of like everybody else was like, yeah, whatever, I'm not going to admit I like you, but like come or I'll kill you. And then Veronica was kind of like, my mom's making me, but like come. And then obviously we end up, creating some kind of friendship.
Yeah.
And you have there are already a bunch of Cheryl memes. I know you guys saw the reel that we put together that has all of your sayings back to back to back to back.
No.
I thought that went up during the rap party. Maybe it didn't make its way up there. But once again, welcome Sad Breakfast Club. You know,
Oh.
you get some of
Sorry
the
to
best.
disturb.
Sorry to interrupt Sad Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Once again, wonderful.
All those good lines.
Good lines.
All the good ones. And you invite Veronica to a sleepover.
I do. Well, Veronica runs after me, and I think it's unexpected, obviously, for Cheryl. And she needs that. She needs the kindness, and she needs that warmth from somebody. And Veronica's selfless enough to do that for her, even though Cheryl's so heartless towards her. And to that end, Cheryl wants to try and create some kind of friendship. And also, since episode 2, you know, Veronica went and helped her when she was in the locker room crying. Right. You know, Veronica's kind of been there for a little bit, and I think that consistency convinced Cheryl that maybe she should see what her life is like at home. Yeah. And kind of maybe understand a little bit more what's going on. Also a cry for help a little bit. Definitely a cry for help. I think a lot of it has to do with her wanting Veronica to see what's going on at home. Yeah. And to not be alone. I think she might be a little bit scared to be alone at home.
With good reason. In Act 2, Archie's going to meet up with this Oscar character. He's got a flash drive of his songs, but that's not good enough. He has to write it out.
Yep. Would have been good information to have before.
True. Which actually meant, behind the scenes, that meant this guy right here had to write it out, because they would have me transpose all of his music by hand and then fax it to Vancouver.
You were doing that?
That was me.
Wow.
That was me.
Okay.
Like, who here writes music? I'm like,
shouldn't have raised your hand, man.
I know. That was a bad move on my part. But yeah, I get to point when my 9-year-old son, who loves the show and watches it with me, and I now will get a lot of ridicule, and my mother-in-law this is unacceptable. I can go, look, your dad wrote that music.
That's my handwriting.
Oh, yeah. It's gone.
Yep,
very quick.
A little millisecond.
So after that, Penelope and Clifford show Sheriff Keller around the parlor, and they're inviting everyone to the memorial they think are suspects in the murder.
Just basically everyone.
Everyone in Riverdale. And then Cheryl overhears that, mistakenly thinking that her parents for once were giving her a chance of, you know, actual closure, and they actually wanted to do this to help Jason because they loved and cared about him. Yeah. Instead, as per usual, it's some scheme.
Ulterior motive.
Just to figure out who killed Jason for their own means. And I think that's like the final breaking point for Cheryl, where she's like, you know what? Forget you guys. Like, I don't care what you guys want or what you tell me to do.
Forget you.
Absolutely. Then we go back over to the chocolate shop, and Betty and Trev are sitting down, and we learn something about Jason.
Betty uses her. I mean, no, she's not. I mean, she's kind of using Trev, and I feel kind of bad about that. No, I feel pretty bad about it. She finds out that Jason was dealing drugs. Yeah. And that is just something completely unexpected for Betty. And to hear that Polly probably knew about this is scary. Betty, the last thing Betty wants is for Polly to be caught up in this, whatever it is. So this just motivates Betty further to, you know, now she has a piece of information that she can use now to dig deeper.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then we're going to see Valerie is helping Archie convert his music into sheet music.
Mm-hmm. He moved on fast, eh?
Very quick.
So.
Bye, Grundy.
Very quick, yep.
Peace out.
Were you guys, what did you think about the fan reaction to Grundy?
I loved it. I've got to say, like, if you look at Pretty Little Liars, there's Ezra Miller Ezra Miller is not a filler. Ezra and Arya. And, like, I feel like fans kind of were accepting of that. And I was kind of always like, this is a little fishy. This age range is a little off. And then you look at Grundy and Archie, which is exactly the same thing, but different genders, and everyone hates it. Or maybe it's a different generation watching. I'm not quite sure. But I loved it because I've always kind of disliked the Archie-Grundy relationship.
Yeah.
I thought that Archie deserved better. I thought Grundy was kind of annoying.
The fan reaction, needless to say, was overwhelming.
It was a lot, right?
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
More than I would have expected.
But that just goes to show how invested people were.
Absolutely.
So we're taking it as a good thing that people, you know, for people to get fired up about certain things means they care.
Didn't expect it. Yeah.
Totally. And I also, I talked about this previously. I thought, just based on the reaction, I think what was very upsetting was that Archie loved seeing, fans loved seeing Archie with Betty. Fans really thought it was interesting when Archie was with Veronica.
Mm-hmm.
Why is there this other person?
Yeah, people were like, "Why do you
Exactly.
want Grundy when Betty and Veronica are there?" But you know,
Totally.
he's
An indecisive young
wanted
boy,
an older woman.
trying to figure out his life and
Yeah,
not doing the
so-
greatest job.
Exactly.
he can make mistakes. It's okay.
Yeah, everyone does.
We'll let him have it.
At the end of the act, Betty's going to help her dad fix the car.
Right.
And she's going to learn some things about her sister.
Yeah. Her dad reveals to her as they're fixing the car together that this summer when Betty was at her internship in LA, that Polly tried to hurt herself.
Right.
Probably tried to commit suicide, is kind of what you gather from what Hal is telling Betty. And to Betty, that's just like, that is so not her sister. Her sister wasn't going through something that intense when she left. So to come back to hearing that Polly was obviously very distressed about what happened between her and Jason, Betty's just confused.
Yeah.
And just hurt that her own sister didn't talk to her about it. I think that's what confuses her the most, is that she has to trust her parents and what they're telling her, even though Betty doesn't really trust her parents. So, but she has no other source of information. She doesn't know how to reach Polly. She doesn't know how to communicate with her right now because she's sent wherever she is. We don't know where she is yet. And I mean, I think it just devastates Betty. One, because it's her sister and she doesn't want something horrible to happen to Polly, but also secretly she doesn't know if her dad is lying to her or not.
Right.
Which is even worse.
And we, on the show, right from the first episode, all of the kids are on the precipice of really life-changing experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I think all of them have in common is that they are, if maybe not for the first time, it's coming to a head. They are all seeing the cracks in their parents.
Yeah.
Parents are not being honest.
Seeing your parents as people for the first time and not as your parents.
And that's
a reoccurring
sort of,
theme.
yeah. And that is, I mean, I don't know if you guys went through this. I absolutely went through it. It's the first time you become an adult is when you look at your parents as flawed human beings, as everyone is, right?
Yeah.
And it's a huge growing experience. And that sort of is very reflective on the decisions that the different characters make. Cheryl in particular, a lot of the decisions she's made are based on her experiences with her own family and trying to come to grips with all that.
I would say the majority of her decisions are based on her relationship at home with her parents and the way she's been treated her life.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then Hal says something very interesting at the end of the scene, that Polly's been sent away because Jason has made her sick.
Well, that is after the memorial, he says.
Oh, that's after the memorial.
Jumping ahead of
It's
yourself.
a good thing I'm talking to an actress who was on the show. All right. Top of Act 3. Betty has brought Jug up to speed, and they have a theory about Jason.
Jughead suggests that he was running away from drug dealers.
Right.
And again, Betty's just freaking out because she doesn't want Polly to be dragged into that.
Totally.
She doesn't want Polly to be chased down by drug dealers. And Jughead suggests that they kind of do some sleuthing at the Blossom Manor, Thornhill, when they're at the memorial to kind of see if they can find any clues in Jason's bedroom.
The belly of the beast.
Belly of the Beast. Right after that, we're going to go over to Archie on the football field. Can't remember a play. Writes it down. Gets hurt.
That part stresses me out, watching that. I don't like watching KJ get hurt.
You guys are very protective.
We are.
Little baby.
And we have a very lovely scene there after where Veronica wraps up his hand. It is very, very motherly.
That made me uncomfortable.
I think it's
It's sweet.
it's
is
very
sweet.
sweet, but you also see, I think there's such like I don't want to say sexual tension, but yes, sexual tension.
But also
between-
like super interesting chemistry between the two of them.
well, yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like the Archie and Veronica, obviously in the pilot, they made out in the closet. That just goes to show that there is
something.
a very strong sexual tension there, and I think you can pick up on that in that scene as well. If you kind of maybe people watching it didn't pick up on that, they didn't see it that way, but to me, when I watch that scene, I can pick up on their chemistry a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, they all three of the Betty, Veronica, and Archie have this very interesting,
Very different
connection.
dynamics
Very
with one
different
another.
dynamics.
Betty and Veronica, and then Betty and Archie and Veronica. That's three very different things, but so it makes it interesting.
Absolutely, and she's very accepting of in this moment. She talks about the pussycat that he's now kind of dating, Valerie. So, and she's very sort of, wow, okay, that seems good. I approve.
Yeah. I think Veronica's not trying to complicate anything, so
Yep.
she's just
Trying to
keep her mouth shut a little bit, I guess.
She values your friendship.
That's
Mhm.
great. After that, Archie meets with Oscar and not impressed.
Not impressed, which is so rude.
So rude. Do you know who he is?
He's Archie Andrews.
He's Archie Andrews, and he goes to Riverdale High.
Yeah.
Remember when
I'm
he used
his
to say
best
that?
friend, Betty.
I'm not anything to Archie. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'll-
But this is really interesting and something extremely relatable. I don't know if you guys went through this, but when you find your passion in life, and
someone comes at you telling you that you're not really that good at it, of course you're like
That's this industry, and the acting industry is like definitely
you can
loads
be
of rejection.
buttered up, for your whole life growing up. People tell you, oh, you're so good, this is what you're meant to do, and then you kind of come to Hollywood or come wherever and you are a
Slapped
needle
in
in
the
a
face with
haystack. Like there's
reality.
Totally.
you're yeah and
it's just the way that life works.
and I think Archie being kind of buttered up by Grundy, that's put an interesting image in my head.
Oh my gosh.
I lost my train of thought.
All right, we'll let you think about that for a second.
Woohoo!
no, it's look, the
Rejection is a part of life.
It is a part
and
of
it's
life.
a good thing for Archie to learn at such a young age.
Yeah.
And in this industry, rejection usually bears its face as just people just ignore you. There's just no phone call.
Right. Well, for us, it's always just kind of like going in for an audition, feeling like it went really well, and then just never hearing anything.
And never hearing
That
anything.
is like the key to rejection. Is just like, oh my god, I can't wait to hear about this audition, and then you just forget about it, and then
Right.
you're like, oh, I guess I didn't do as well as I thought I did.
And that is that's actually pretty manageable. I have always felt that when you don't hear, you can decide a lot of things in your own mind, as we said before.
Right.
It's when someone comes out and tells you, you're no good.
Yeah.
I don't want to work with you because I don't see a future in you.
Yeah.
And that happens too.
Yeah, 100%.
And you have to have, the kind of drive within to go, no, I was built to do
You
this
have to be
job.
tenacious, and you have to build a backbone. Her and I always talk about, after we do an audition, we've learned to forget about it.
Yeah.
You just have to right
You
after
have
you're
to
done,
move
you just
on.
move on. You forget about it. You go to the next one. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Have any of you had the terrible experience of someone saying to your face, no good?
In a different setting, I have. I mean, when I moved to LA, I had a lot of people telling me that, or telling my mom more so, that like, you shouldn't let her do that. She's not going to make it. She's going to get her feelings hurt and move back here and be a broken human and all these things. And
Wow.
they really didn't think I should move to LA. They were trying to protect me, and I totally understand that. But
Right.
at the end of the day, you have to let people do what they want to do.
That's
and,
right.
But also, I think, regardless of whether someone tells you that to your face or not, the proof is in the pudding. You
Yep.
know, like we wouldn't be here if we didn't earn it. But I've very much been in an experience or experienced flat out rejection, and not by someone telling me directly to my face, but I've been in an audition room where it was a very vulnerable audition, very emotional, and at the end of it, everyone in the audition room just looked around at each other and then started talking about where they wanted to go for lunch. And I
Yep.
left the room. It's like very it's like a different kind of disrespect, a different kind of diss.
Or texting while
That's
you're
not
auditioning.
even like,
Oh,
you know,
God,
acknowledging that you're a
happens too.
human. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like that I just came here to, you know,
Waste my time.
waste my time, and now I'm
Yeah.
leaving. Bye. It just kind of goes to show, like, look where I'm at now, guys.
Yeah. Well, and there's the other part of it too where, and I don't know if you guys have experienced this, where you go, you know what, there is too much pain associated with going after this thing that I love, so I'm going to stop doing it.
Yeah.
And
That's what I experienced 2 years ago.
and you kind of, you eat yourself up inside because you have, it's like someone saying, breathe, but only breathe throughout your mouth.
Right.
Right.
Like, I just can't live like this.
No, not at all. It's a
We all have those
incredibly
moments.
hard.
Industry.
But you just have to, you know,
Yeah.
just kind of come to the conclusion yourself whether you think this is really what you're supposed to do or not. And I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, you'll innately know. Like,
Yeah.
if this is something that you, this is the only thing that you can imagine doing.
Right.
That's kind of what I've always thought. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't do anything else. I wouldn't want to. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'm also completely talentless other than this. So,
Oh, shut up.
No, but you know, it's a very powerful moment. After that, we're going to get into the family dinner at the Blossoms
Yikes.
Manor.
Yeah, that's a ew.
Awkward.
Total cringe moment. When I read that script, actually, I was kind of expecting more from Cheryl, and then I read it again, and I was like, this makes so much more sense. Like, it's such a good moment to, you know, you see the difference between Cheryl, who just is like moving a mile a minute and can't stop talking at school and is so
Yeah.
sassy and witty, and then at home she says almost nothing,
Yeah.
and then she says one thing and her mom jumps down her throat, and I think that gives you a really good example of why she is the way she is at school.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's right. Cheryl doesn't even have to say anything, and Veronica gets exactly how Cheryl came to be.
Yep.
You know, and horrible things. She talks about, you know, I didn't get to, Cheryl is not going to go to the funeral
And make it all about herself.
and make it all about herself
Because it's my fault that Jason's dead.
You rode him across the river to his death.
Yeah.
brutal.
And I'm
It's like,
fairly certain
wow.
she hears that every night at dinner and every morning at breakfast. Like, I
Yeah.
think that's what she wakes up to and falls asleep to every single night.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you're not a mass murderer at this point is
I think
kind of
is
a miracle.
great.
How do you know? How do you
Well,
know?
I'm
Season 8.
Season 8 mass murderer. No, it's an incredibly powerful scene. After that, we're going to go over to the chocolate shop, and Hermione is scrubbing the grill.
Oh,
There's
boy.
a little mystery, a door. She looks around. There's no one there, but there's a box on the floor.
I was on
Mysterious
set
box.
when they filmed this.
She sent me a bunch of snaps of it
I
because
took
she was freaking
videos.
out.
I wasn't freaking
No, like
out.
freaking out in a good way. You're like, oh my
Oh.
God, look at these cool things that are happening.
Yeah. I had right after that scene, I had to film my date with Trev.
Okay.
So I was waiting around, and I was like, well, heck yeah, I'm going to go sit on set and watch a friggin' rattlesnake.
Yeah, that was some scary stuff. I
It
remember.
was scary. It was
Didn't
awesome.
you
though.
send me a snap of it like jumping out or something?
Yeah, I lunged at the handler a couple
Ew.
times.
Yeah, we saw those dailies, and they are truly frightening.
Yeah.
Right. Did you see the daily of Luke with the fake snake in his, and he like pulled it out and the snake flew and she freaked out?
Yeah, Luke pulled a prank on Marisol that he had
so
a real
funny.
snake. It was funny.
It didn't seem that she took it very well.
I actually wasn't on set. I don't remember, but I think
It
she was
shook
probably,
her up a little bit.
as it would
When that-
anybody.
When that made its way over here, everyone was kind of like, "You got to see this!
Yeah.
Look what Luke did! Look what Luke did!"
Poor
It
Marisol.
was
Yes.
hysterical.
A message from the serpents.
Yeah,
Scary.
Mhm.
absolutely.
Don't mess with us.
Yeah. Oh, really sad. So Betty's upstairs. She hears the TV downstairs. She hears actually Polly's voice.
Polly's childhood voice,
Polly-
which is
Polly's
still
childhood voice.
interesting to me.
Oh, I still
But
not seen
super
that.
eerie.
She's like, Polly? It's like, is Polly magically 8
6
years old again?
But you know, you're in a sleeping state.
Sure.
It could be a dream.
Okay.
But Betty goes downstairs and finds her dad just drinking and watching home videos.
Yeah.
Not a great state to be in.
Not a great state. I think it's one of those moments where she's seeing her parents or her dad as a human,
Mhm.
and she feels for him, She still doesn't know the whole truth, the whole story, but she sees that he loves her, and he's obviously very distraught about what happened, and again just makes Betty even more confused than she was before.
Yeah.
But also she has this, growing empathy for her dad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then last scene of the act, it's Veronica and Cheryl sitting on a bed looking through some photo
Casual.
albums.
I think that's probably one of maybe my favorite scene in this episode. It's such a tender and sweet moment for Cheryl to like see this really human side of her where she's just, talking about her
Yeah,
lost
I love
brother.
that scene
Yeah.
between you two.
It just kind of forms this interesting friendship and, allows you to see a side of Cheryl that's actually quite sweet
It's
and
quite nice.
broken and
Yeah.
just genuine.
Absolutely.
I like that
And
scene.
it's in that moment that it's decided, with the help of Veronica,
Yes.
that Cheryl will be there.
Absolutely, and it's also in that moment that I think Veronica gets a true taste of how scared of her parents Cheryl is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Top of Act 4, Fred gets rid of the snakes,
Oh, Fred.
and Hermione explains the issue between Hiram and the serpents. And she doesn't want to drag him into the drama. It's very respectful.
Too late.
Back over it. Too late. Back over at the Cooper's house. Betty's getting ready for the funeral. And who's gotten a little suit on?
Oh.
Juggy.
What?
Yeah, he comes,
And he looks good.
he comes in with a suit on and still got the beanie though.
What's his hair even look like under there? The world must want
We'll
to
find
know.
out.
It's got to be dreadlocks. When was the last time
I'm
you shampooed?
sure.
Oh, the questions will be answered.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think obviously you can see that there's growing chemistry between the two.
Yeah.
And it's quite apparent, especially in that scene. She gives a little smile like, oh, you clean up nice.
Yeah.
Kind of one of those things. Yeah.
And there's something that Cole has always been a good-looking kid. I didn't know the Disney show, but I knew him as Ross's son on
Yeah,
Friends.
Ben.
Right,
I was like,
right.
oh, that's Cole.
Yeah.
And he's got a great smile, and you never see Jughead do it. Jug is just sort of and we come to understand why, but he's sort of this dour.
Yeah.
He's got a lot on his shoulders.
Right.
So when he does crack a smile, your heart melts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it works for everyone.
I think Betty makes Jug happy. Brings out the happiness in him.
That's great.
Yeah.
After that, we're going to go to, this is it, Blossom Manor.
Here we go.
Time for the
Yikes.
memorial.
Diving in.
Diving right in, and let's just get right to it. Everything's a preamble until the white dress.
Yeah, so everyone's just kind of milling around, and then all of a sudden it's like
Boom!
shout, let it all out. I mean, like, that amazing choice on that. Yeah, then everyone kind of feels his presence, and Cheryl's just walking up kind of like eerily in this dream state of not really acknowledging anybody there. Or
Kevin's.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
my. Yes. So good.
Kevin does a yes, and Veronica does a shot to Penelope,
Penelope.
Yeah.
which is
Like, you'll make it worse.
don't cut her off.
Yeah. Exactly. I think that's a really pivotal moment for Cheryl to finally stand up to her parents because she's never done that before. But she's also in this weird dream state where she feels like he's in the room, like Jason's in the room with her.
Yeah.
Like she's doing this for herself and for Jason and, forget whoever else is watching. Like it's
Yeah.
not important to her. And
It's her twin.
it's her twin and
It's
the
a
only person who
bond
loved
that's-
her, cared about her.
Yeah.
It's a really big moment for her and she doesn't handle it very well.
Well, I think she handles it considering, like,
Right.
quite beautifully. And I
Thank
remember
you.
when we filmed that scene, Mads made me cry. I was quite emotional watching her do that. It was very heartfelt, and you could feel for Cheryl in that moment how her other half died.
Yeah.
And you can see that, like, in that scene, you're kind of like, oh yeah, like like they're twins.
Yeah.
And you kind of forget that sometimes,
Yep.
like, because Jason his name is thrown around so often. It's just like, wow, they were twins. They were connected at the hip. Like, they were each other's people.
Exactly.
Totally.
You know, I've seen a lot on Twitter. People are like, you know, I made this joke as well. Like every time that someone says anything, Cheryl talks about Jason, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Oh
it's
my
like,
gosh.
I mean, that's
Someone breathes. Cheryl.
Cheryl,
Jason
Jason.
used to breathe.
like, right. You know what I mean? But
I
it's
love
like,
that one.
and yeah, I think it's hilarious. Like it is a little annoying sometimes, but at the same time, it like totally makes sense why she does that. And I feel like people kind of lose track of the fact that this is her dead brother who died 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like,
What?
or whatever, how long ago?
Died 2 weeks ago.
She found out he was dead like 3 weeks ago. By episode 5, probably like 3 weeks. It's only a couple days.
I don't know
What her timeline is.
the timeline.
Right. But yeah, I think it's kind of, I mean, I truly think it's justifiable why she talks about him so much. I mean, she's dealing with the loss. And as the season goes on, it's a lot less, obviously, because she's coping. But it is, I mean, it makes sense. This is a person who showed her what love meant. I mean, her parents certainly didn't.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, again, not to overinflate your ego too much, but you masterfully are able to bring this character who is so larger than life in so many of these moments. And in this moment, the pain is real. It's authentic, and it is, it's devastating. And that's where, you know, Cheryl lives for the audience on that line between love and hate.
Yeah.
You just,
Yeah.
you want to, and especially once we see her with her parents, you want to protect this young woman
Yeah.
who is being turned into a monster by her family.
I think episode 5 is a big one for her because you find out that she's just a broken individual who's trying to find her own way and not doing a particularly good job of it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So in Act 5, yeah, that scene continues on. You give this epic eulogy.
Mm-hmm.
You throw yourself on the casket.
I do. I rub the casket and it's weird. I watched it and I was like, why am I rubbing the casket?
You're
I was-
rubbing it.
I'm like going like this.
The
on
genie will come
casket.
out.
yeah.
I'm like maybe his ghost will come out and say goodbye to me.
That would be
Maybe.
amazing.
You just do what you do in the moment, hey?
Yeah.
So while all this is going on, Buddy and Jughead are upstairs in the room,
which is
looking
quite disrespectful of them.
for a little disrespectful, but
say.
a pretty good moment.
Cheryl's like breaking down on her brother's coffin, and they're like, "Oh, okay." You know,
This would be a good
Step
opportunity.
Step out. So yeah, they go into Jason's bedroom and start looking around, trying to. They don't really know what they're looking for, but.
Or they're trying to find find drug information.
Yeah, they're
Well,
trying to
right,
find-
right.
yeah.
They don't know what they're gonna find.
Right.
They don't know what would help them, but so they're looking around and they hear Nana Rose
I love
in the
her.
corner of the room.
Yeah, the one thing you never do when entering a room is see if there's an old lady behind the door.
Well,
Well,
now
now we
I'm
do.
gonna look. And
Hello.
she scares the crap out of them, and Nana Rose thinks that Betty is Polly, and
Crazy.
and Polly and Betty goes along with it, and you know, she's like, "Oh, it's nice to see you again too." And Nana Rose tells Betty that she's not wearing the ring, and Betty obviously has no idea what's going on, and come to find out Polly and Jason were engaged.
Boom.
And that is like a revelation for Betty. She
Yeah.
had no idea, and now she just feels like she has no idea who her sister is or what was happening with her sister at all. She's so lost at this point, and to hear from an outside source, you know, Nana Rose obviously wouldn't be lying about this. She's like the sweet, kind of creepy old woman, thinking that Betty is Polly and saying, you know, don't let Penelope see that I gave it to you or she'll come get it from you. Not scary in the least bit. Scares Jughead and Betty right on out of there. So they peace out pretty quick after that.
They do, but it's terrifying. But it was great move for Betty to like, yeah, I'm Polly.
Yeah,
Right.
here we
You
go.
learn a lot doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got right towards the end there, Penelope just goes nuts on Cheryl.
Yeah, I think this is a moment for the audience to see that she's actually abused at
Yeah.
home.
Mhm.
She's emotionally abused and physically abused by her mother. And it was tough for me to come to that realization, you know, for Cheryl, because I've kind of grown very protective of her myself, which
Sure.
is kind of weird. But it's a really good moment for the audience to see the inside of the workings of the belly of the beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a threat to send you away to boarding school.
Which I'm like, that wouldn't be such a bad thing. She's like, I'd have you sent to a boarding school
In
in
Europe
It's
tonight.
It's like, what's okay? Sure, let's go.
You're right. All things considered,
I
that
think
probably
she
would
probably
not be a
would
terrible option.
like it.
Yeah.
No, but it's just because Cheryl's kind of the queen of Riverdale High a little bit,
Right.
so she wouldn't be
The
as
bereaved Red Widow.
Yes.
So back over to the chocolate shop, Archie and Val are discussing why Archie is willing to give up on his music so easily.
He's young, and he's being told different things by different people, and he's like, I don't friggin' know what to do. He's just like going with, and he believes like when an adult tells him something, okay,
Right.
must be true. So he hasn't really found confidence or faith in his music yet. Yeah,
That's right. And then over to the Cooper house, Hal and Betty have it out.
yeah. Betty confronts her dad and says, "You have to tell me what's going on." She keeps uncovering all this stuff on her own.
Right.
And she says, "Did you know Polly and Jason were engaged?" And she finds out that, yeah, he did. And, of course, he was hiding that from her. And he tells Betty that his grandfather killed Betty's great-grandfather.
Right.
Which is kind of a bomb being dropped on her. So many family secrets.
Mm-hmm.
But so that kind of explains to Betty why Hal has like this vendetta against the Blossoms.
Sure.
But her main focus right now is still Polly. She says, "Where is she?" And he says, "We sent her away. Jason made her sick." And I think Betty's scared. I think that him saying that made Betty scared for the first time as to what happened to Polly. Like, before that, she was like motivated to find out what happened, and now it scares her to find out.
Yeah.
She has no idea what to expect.
Absolutely. And it's interesting. So the story that he tells about the two great grandfathers, that big rivalry,
Right.
that is that's an argument that only works with like adults. Older people are like, no, there's a family that's been around for a long time, and they
Right.
took our livelihood, and we could have been a lot better established. And kids, like, who cares?
Right.
What are we fighting about? This is
Yeah.
insane.
This is how many years later?
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with us as people.
Right.
And it's
Yeah. It's a
tearing
It's a grudge that's tearing
everyone
two
apart.
families apart.
Yeah.
But again, highly relatable. This is stuff that happens.
Yeah.
You're like, guys, in the scheme of things, none of this matters.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we get to the moment that I blew by saying it happened a lot earlier.
Yes. Well,
So
it's
there you
all,
go.
it's all right.
Thanks, Lily. Act 6, Veronica and Hermione reconcile. And then we got the coach who's going to make a decision on who's going to be the captain of the team.
Yeah.
I actually really love
says-
that scene.
It's a great scene.
Yeah.
Says it's Archie. Archie says no.
Archie says, no.
No,
I
here you go.
can't.
Reggie deserves
His heart
it.
isn't in it, and Archie needs to figure out his music situation right now. That's where his heart's at, so he
Yeah.
can't commit to football right now.
And his
He
heart
needs to
isn't
follow
in
his
it.
heart. Yeah.
Totally. And plus, there's a really good-looking young woman who wants to help him with his music. Not as many good-looking options in football.
To
Right.
Archie.
For Archie.
To some, I'm sure there are.
You're right. You're right.
Right. But yeah, no, but
Right.
Val isn't the only reason why he wants to pursue music.
Of course.
But I think Val definitely kind of helps him realize that.
Gain some confidence in it.
Yeah, he needs to kind of buckle down and focus on it if he wants to make something of it.
I think it's actually really beautiful storyline to watch Archie go through this. We actually had a dinner the night that we were leaving Vancouver, the whole gang. We were sitting around talking about what we're thankful for and what we learned and stuff. And a lot of us said that we learned that you can't do everything.
Right.
You know, we learned being out here that you can't tell yourself you could do everything. It just ends up kind of breaking you down mentally and emotionally and physically, and you can't put too much on yourself, and that's exactly what he's trying to do.
It's okay to fail.
It's okay to fail, and those are things we learned, and I think that's exactly what Archie's learning in this moment, is that and he's choosing to give something up in order to make himself happier and the people around him happier.
Yeah, and also like, you can't please everyone. You can't please Fred by being a football player, and he can't.
Such a big lesson to learn as a young adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that honestly.
Life lessons. #Riverdale.
Hashtag
We're all about
Riverdale.
those life lessons.
But it's true. If you're honest to yourself, other people will come to terms with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Definitely.
After that, we're going to get back over to the Riverdale High Music Room, where Valerie's going to join Archie as they're working on a song, and that crosses over into Penelope and Nana planting an orchid on Jason's grave.
Right.
And Betty and Jughead theorizing about what's going on between the Blossoms and the Coopers.
So that's a big moment for Cheryl because she's that's a moment where you see her quite literally saying, letting go of Jason. You know, she sees this image of Jason walking from the grave away with a happy look on his face. And that for Cheryl is a good moment of closure. And, you know, she got exactly what she needed from the memorial. Whether or not her parents liked it, it was so necessary. And it allows her a sense of peace within herself.
Definitely.
Yeah, very beautiful scene.
And like on all episodes of Riverdale, we always leave with a big stinger at the end of the episode. And this does not disappoint. We come to find out that it was who stole the files?
Hal!
Oh, Hal!
Oh, Hal!
Hal! Yeah. Come
What
on,
in the world,
Hal.
Come on, Hal.
Just another, you know what? You have a different idea of who the killer is
Every single episode.
Every episode.
It drives me insane.
But it's fantastic.
Why does it drive you insane?
Well,
you
I
know
was
who did it.
Well, now, but I'm saying when we were
At
doing
first, when we got the scripts, you were like, all right.
we would come up with our theories, and then the next script would be like, okay, well,
All right.
forget that theory.
Yeah,
Here's the
forget
next
that
one.
So that's interesting. And every show's a little different. But on this show...
No, we didn't find out who the killer was until we
got the
So you
script
got the
at the
final
table
script.
read
Yeah.
the day before
The
we
day
started
of,
shooting.
and
The
we
day
were like-
of we were shooting, yeah.
We were like, holy
Oh,
crap.
If you would have heard the responses in that room, I mean, it was uproar. There's so many different crazy things happening in that room at once. Nobody.
But good things.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
we
yeah.
were all like
Not
so
negative.
invested.
It was
and
such. Oh God, it's so good.
It's so good.
So good.
It is good. And you know, I know how this all turns out, but watching it with my wife and my son,
Yeah.
who will
no
literally and my son
and all
goes
the
to me
fans seeing the reactions is going to be
so
amazing.
fun.
every 20 minutes. Jackson turns to me and he goes, "It's got to be Miss Grundy." I'm almost certain it was Miss Grundy because she lied to Betty during the interview.
Right.
Yeah.
She was my number one theory for about the first 6 episodes.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
sure she's coming back, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Maybe I was right.
Maybe you were right.
Who knows?
So that is the episode. Now we're going to get to some audience questions from Twitter.
Twitter.
From Twitterverse. Now, I will say this because it was only extraordinarily funny to me this afternoon. I had put a post out early in the morning, as I do whenever I do my interviews, saying, hey, sitting down with so-and-so, we're going to talk about this. What questions would you like? And I usually get a bunch, you know, and I'm sifting through them. At around, what was it, noon this afternoon, my phone goes into like meltdown mode because Lili reposted it. I'm like, what is happening?
I said, ask questions, guys.
And now I have 4,000 questions to
Yeah.
sift through, but we got some real good ones.
Yeah.
We waded through them. So the first one we got here is from Rebecca at Rebecca Cal's Who Am I?
Oh.
Who I Am.
Who I
Which do you have more fun playing, Good Betty or Bad Betty?
I saw this question actually
Oh,
on my
there you
feed.
go.
Well, you see Good Betty more so than you see Bad Betty, but I think, oh God, that's a hard question. Both, but like it's so interesting to play Good Betty because she's constantly kind of fighting her inner demons and kind of suppressing her bad self. So that's kind of why playing Good Betty is more interesting to me.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Thank you.
Next question is from Joe Tremonte at JC Tremonte. How well does the cast gel off camera? On-screen moments always come off as genuine, sincere.
Very.
Yeah, we're like a giant family.
We are a family.
We
and
really are.
And I feel like people say that. They're like, oh, we're a
Yeah,
family.
right. We
but
mean it. Like Lili and I freaking live together.
I know we live together. And
Like
it's
that-
like,
We hung out every weekend. The whole gang got together. We're still in a group text every day. You know,
Yeah.
we all really truly love each other. And we were talking about it that last night in Vancouver. Like, this is something that's almost once in a lifetime. We all love each other so much, and it's also genuine. And we constantly are inspired by each other every single
Yeah.
day. And we learn so much from each other. And we're also not afraid to be honest. Like, I think that's really rare for that to work in a friendship dynamic. But we all help each other grow every single day. I feel really lucky to have these people by my side in this
Yeah.
crazy ride of life.
No matter what happens, it's like
We'll always be a family.
Yeah, we have made these lifelong friends, which is magical. Like
And
I
it's
gained friggin' 15 family members when I
Yep.
joined this show. I'm very lucky.
It's amazing, and it comes through on screen. I mean, like I said, you all are great actors, but it is the genuine camaraderie and joy that you have for one another is there on screen.
Good. I'm
And
glad.
David did a great job. I mean, this also goes back to like those chemistry auditions way
Thanks
back
for casting
when,
all my best friends, David.
right? Or people that I didn't
Yeah.
know were going to be
Yeah,
my
that's what I'm
best
saying.
friends.
Casting
Yeah.
all my best friends in my life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
isn't that amazing? Then we got. So what I love about this show is so many Twitter handles are invented because of Riverdale.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is all things Riverdale at Fans of Riverdale. What did you guys do to prepare for your roles?
Well,
Many a comic books.
I actually did the opposite. I didn't want to read any, or I read some, but I didn't really want to be too influenced by Cheryl because she, more so than anybody else in the comics, is not very prevalent and is very one-dimensional. She's just there to kind of like, get Archie's attention for a little bit, look
Right.
hot in a bathing suit, and then leave.
Right.
And I didn't want to be influenced by that because she's got so many beautiful layers that the writers came up with. So it was a lot of me just kind of going over the story of like creating this relationship with my brother and going through the emotional instability she has to be the way she is. That was my preparation.
Perfect.
I read quite a few of the comics, but also knew that I was kind of building Betty from the ground up. And it was a lot of discussions with Roberto and a lot of discussions with Lee, who kind of helped me craft Betty as well. And just being very open and honest with our creators, and also just doing my own personal studying of finding out who Betty is and creating this girl. And you're building a human being.
Right.
And that's something that
So
is
insane to think
a
about.
process that never ends. You're constantly
Learning more
building
about
this
them.
person.
Yeah.
So, I went in there having certain ideas of who Betty was, but as you continue filming and throughout filming the entire season, you just continue to craft this person, which is really quite beautiful because it's an ever changing thing.
That's right. In every script, you get another dimension to those characters.
100%.
I mean, you talked about early on not being that plussed about it because she reads, especially I think in the pilot, Betty comes off as the epitome of the girl next door.
Yeah.
And you do that beautifully when you're standing on the steps and your heart just breaks for what Betty's going through to not have that love return in that speech to Archie. But then we go through Dark Betty and the hot tub, and we are where we are today. And there are so many layers to the onions of these characters that it's such
beautiful.
a joy to go through.
Yeah.
And that's just season 1.
We
And
got
we're
some
not
good writers.
even halfway through.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're episode 5. We got quite a bit of a
I
journey to go. I'm so
It's
excited for people to see it.
Amazing. Okay, the next one is from S at Veronica Lodgy.
Oh.
What episode are you most excited for fans to see? Now, we can talk about if it's not one of the 5 that have already aired, or we can
No
say what
spoilers.
number,
Right.
but leave it at that.
Other than
13.
5, 13, yeah. 13, 100%.
7 and 8 and 10.
I like 9 a lot, but 10's I think just
10.
my overall
10
favorite.
is 10 people are going to really
It's going to
enjoy.
be everyone's favorite. It's going to be 10.
It's just fun.
I'm with you guys. Yep, I think it's great. And what I've told everyone who's asked me about the show,
One word, party.
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 Oh, yeah, with
10,
Party.
sure.
Party.
But 13 to me is, this will seal the deal.
Epic.
If you were even remotely hesitant, and I don't know everyone I know is either won't call me or is so into the show.
Yeah.
Right.
And are like so excited.
Yeah.
So 13 is such a huge payoff. Iris at B Ronica Archie wants to know, what was the most funniest moment on set?
People, that's a hard question.
yeah, I
to
don't
ask.
even.
Because, well, now people are going to, okay. Me and Cammie were delusional after a 12-hour day. And for some reason, we we're singing the song Body Party by Sierra. It's yeah,
Naturally.
it's like a you know,
As one does after a 12-hour day.
it's a scandalous, risque
Oh
song.
my god, those Snapchats you sent me? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Is
remember
it-
that.
Is it Raspberry Beret scandalous?
No, more so. It's we walked around on our sets. We went to like the locker room set, and we took Snapchats of us,
Yeah.
basically dancing like strippers to this song, but as Betty and Veronica. And
You're going to get them all kinds of riled up from this story.
yeah, but
Get a cease and desist.
there's
from
lots
Warner
of singing between Cammie and I on set, but like bad singing, like not good. But we sing a lot of Moulin Rouge songs together.
Cammie and I sing a lot of La La Land together.
There you go.
Yeah.
Do you guys love La La Land?
We had a whole day where we just were tap dancing and running
I
around.
saw it. Do you know that?
Yeah, I know. I saw it on
Oh,
your
right.
Snapchat. So good. I'm like, I think
It's beautiful.
one of my favorite movies ever. Yeah.
As performers, you know, it's
Yeah.
Well, also that struggle
wonderful.
is so real. Like I used to work
The
in a coffee
struggle's
shop.
real.
Like I literally worked in a coffee
I
shop.
worked
so, like, I
at
feel her.
Pier 1 Imports, if that counts.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
yeah, it does. I was a sales
It's
associate.
retail. No, I don't understand people that don't like that movie. I find them to
I
be
don't trust those people.
Yeah,
Don't
heartless.
trust those people.
You're like,
Heartless.
what is?
Especially as a performer, it's like,
Yeah, and
it's just
unless
so
you've never
beautifully
struggled
done.
in your life, sure.
right.
It's just so real too. It's like, you know, I've always kind of felt like my relationships are great, my career's not going well, or my career's going well, and my
Totally.
relationships are great.
Yeah.
It's so hard to juggle both, and that movie really depicts that beautifully for
Yeah.
people like us.
Yeah.
My wife and I were actors for a long time while we were together for 20 years. No, we're still together.
Mm-hmm.
We're just no longer actors. But we always had the philosophy of, in order to make this work, because we knew so many actor couples that one person was doing very well and it would destroy the relationship.
Yeah.
Like if both people were doing well, that's fine. If two people were struggling, that was fine. But we came up with the philosophy, and it helped us great, was that if one person is succeeding, we are both succeeding. And it's the only way to, you
Yeah.
have to be able to enjoy the other person's victories and help
Same with
the
your
other.
friends who are actors.
Totally.
Yeah, it's all about, shouldn't be a competition. I'm so happy for any of my cast members when they book something.
Yeah, we're really supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now the La La Land audition sequence that she does, but how honest is that?
It's yeah.
That
But
may be
it's
the
so
best.
beautiful. Like
a
her
lot more
work
beautiful
when
than
she's doing it,
mine.
I'm like, holy shit! How did you answer someone's question in the
Right.
middle of that?
But that's you must have been. I remember going through experiences that were exactly like that, and no one's listening.
Yeah.
and I went through
No
all
one.
of this.
Yeah, 100%. I'd have
feel
guys
like, what
reading
am
a
I doing
newspaper.
this
I'm
for?
like, okay, should I just go now? There actually was one audition where they weren't listening, and the guy who was reading with me didn't even look up. I was like, do you guys even care? Should I go?
Yeah.
And they kind of were like, yeah, please go. And then they watched me, and I was like, this
Yeah.
is what you got to do. You got
Yeah.
to stand up and say, I'm here, and I'm.
Good for you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Only time I ever did it.
Good for you.
Only time you'll ever need to do it now.
Well,
That's
you
right.
Never know.
That's right.
I know.
Lili Reinhart fans at Lili Reinhart ITA.
Italy.
Very
Obviously
good.
not.
Very good. So this goes to the singing. Lili, you're a great singer. Your voice is amazing.
Oh.
Would you like to sing on the show?
I absolutely would love to sing on the show. It's a discussion I've had with Roberto. You actually do hear me sing a teeny little bit
I hear it every day.
in
And
your
it's beautiful.
dreams.
That's how I used to wake up in Vancouver, just listening to this little angel sing in the living room.
Although you hated it probably.
You're like, that's
Shut this
lovely. Could it
little
be
thing up."
quieter
Yeah.
at 6 a.m.?
But yeah, no, I would love to sing on the show. Like, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. L. Phoenix Lecter. I'm not going to even attempt to do that. What's the hardest part of playing Cheryl in the show?
That's a really, really good question. I think the hardest part,
Emotional turmoil.
yeah, I actually kind of have to put myself through some emotional turmoil. There was a couple of days when we were shooting 12 and 13, and we started 13 kind of the same day we were finishing 12, where I had so many emotional scenes I had to do that I actually kind of ended up like I couldn't stop crying. And that's kind of the tough thing playing a character that's so layered, of course, and I'm not complaining by any means, is that you truly do have to go through these emotions. You know, I think people think
it's not fake.
It's not fake, you know, and it's people sometimes don't really realize that it is quite jarring.
That's her crying.
Yeah, and you know, so that's probably the hardest part is putting myself through that. But I love it. Like, it's fun, and I always feel very rejuvenated after a long day of crying.
Yeah. It's hard, and it's one that's difficult to stay in that headspace. Hopefully, you're not doing a lot of takes, right? Or we're
in television.
Sometimes
we're all pretty aware of the fact that there's lots of takes, and I think that's where it comes between. You know, it's our job. Yeah. You know, I've never once questioned whether or not I could do it. I just knew I had to. So,
good place to be in. And how about you, Lily?
What's the hardest part about playing Betty?
Yeah.
I think, hardest part about playing Betty is trying not to play her as so somber. Betty could so easily be played very somber and
one note,
kind of doom and gloom a little bit, just with what's going on with her family. And I remember when we were filming the pilot, Lee, our director, told me, he pulled me aside. He was like, don't be so somber in this one. And I was like, that really stuck with me. And I was like, kind of pulled me out of whatever zone I was in, because it made me realize that Betty, a huge part of who Betty is not letting people see her somber side. And I was so, I was kind of letting Betty wear her heart on her sleeve a little bit and kind of showing that right off the bat. Whereas Betty doesn't want people to see her broken and doesn't want to see her struggling or sad. So she kind of does everything she can to shove those feelings down. And I think that's what can be difficult for me is because you want to let your character be sad, I guess, and experiencing these emotions. So trying to play a character that's trying to hide their sadness is difficult. But it's challenging, but it's incredibly so much more interesting than just having someone walking around panicking about their sister all the time and crying. Like, that's very much not what we wanted to do with Betty. So, yeah.
No, it's great. And you do a really wonderful job. There is always that thing of Betty who is smiling through a tear, and you see that. I mean, to layer the emotions like that is challenging work, but so worth the effort. And again, very relatable. That's what we're all doing. No one wants to see
smiling through the pain.
Yeah, absolutely. After that, we got at Blues Camless. Would you rather spend an entire day with Betty's mom or with guys like Chuck?
Betty's mom.
Yeah, Betty's mom every day, right?
Right.
Every day.
Guys like Chuck. Chuck's a predator.
I would be a murderer
Alice
if I
would be
spent
like
a day with a
buying you some cardigans from Banana Republic. It wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah, unless you crossed her.
Unless you cross
So just don't cross Alice when you hang.
Cross her.
Good point. Kate Hamilton at HL. Katie, if you had a chance to play a different character on the show, who would you pick and why? Lily, we'll start with you.
I've answered this question before. I said the female version of Jughead.
Okay, interesting.
I think it would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's an interesting cat.
Yeah, but you don't get to see women kind of play that.
Interesting. I see what you're saying.
Play the kind of grungy loner. You don't see that usually from a woman's perspective.
You're right. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's like, yep.
But maybe if Jelly Bean ever shows up, we'll get to see a little something.
Roberto.
Roberto.
What about you?
Yeah.
I have always...
Jason.
No! Would rather not. I have always kind of wanted to play that girl next door-ish, sweet, caring girl, and I've never really gotten the ability to because I'm just so good at being the bad girl. I would love to play Betty. I would love to give that a shot. I think it'd be quite rewarding and sweet and genuine.
You trying to take my role?
I mean, this is a good time to tell them.
All right, so here's a question that everyone wants to know. This is at Living Riverdale. What's it like to work with Cole? Is he just so...
Is that really
a question
of the hour?
Okay, that's a lot of eye rolls for me.
Yeah, we both just did a major eye roll.
To be honest, it's like in the first, he's so different from a lot of us. Like, and it took a while for me to warm up to being in scenes with him because he is able to like joke around and stuff on set, and I'm not that good at it when I'm like in the zone and I'm about to be crying in a scene. Like I need to be there, so it took a while for me to find a cohesive space with him.
I think we were more so rolling our eyes at the question a little bit because
Yeah.
it's like working,
he's a person. It's the same as working with Lily or
he's Cole.
Camila.
He's our friend. He's our castmate.
And to me, he's just Cole.
He doesn't walk on water.
Moly Coley.
Well, if he doesn't walk on water, this is
People are
terribly
disappointed.
I'm so sorry, guys.
No, we don't.
He's just like everybody else.
That'll be when he comes and does his interview. That's how I'm going to start. I hear
eats.
you don't walk on water.
Tell us about that.
Tell us when this happened.
No, we love Cole.
We
obviously.
do,
He's
yeah.
very, very talented, and I think he plays the perfect Jughead. But yeah, he's one of the smartest people I know. He's incredibly fun to work with. I love having scenes with him. He's very goofy and can make us laugh at the end of the day. And yeah. Great scene
And of
partner.
course, the follow up to that at Sweetie's staff. What's it like to work with KJ?
I mean,
KJ. We love him.
It's just like
We're
the
his
light
moms.
of 100%. He's just like the light of our lives.
He's just
so
KJ,
genuine.
You just
and sweet.
you can't not love KJ.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's just
Ringing endorsement.
I mean, he's just one of those people, and
he's so charismatic and humble and just
he's just has the
sweet.
biggest heart,
Yep.
to be honest. And working with him is always very fun. And he's also just an incredible actor
and hilarious.
Playing off of him, especially with the Betty Archie dynamic, is very, very fun to work with him on that. And
Yeah, he's a great scene partner.
great life partner,
Next question:
Okay,
what's it like to work
wink,
with Lily?
wink. Just kidding.
Just
no.
kidding.
He's like my brother. What's it like to work with Lily, Mads?
No comment.
Okay.
We're going to skip around here. Elle writes at Lili Reinhart. You like that when people grab Twitter handles? That's your name. It's always interesting. It's an interesting tribute. How do you keep the stamina to shoot for so many hours a day?
You don't. No.
I have so many cute photos of Lily sleeping on set.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you don't have a choice.
Yeah. It's our job.
I think the minute you get in front of the camera, the adrenaline kind of kicks in and you automatically just can do it. But
Definitely.
it's not easy. It's definitely a lot of, especially towards and filming the finale, I was
eating a lot of food to just keep yourself awake.
I was done. I was dead tired. It's just a matter of taking advantage of your downtime and letting myself sleep for 12 hours and not feeling guilty about it and not doing anything on the weekends and letting my body recuperate and
we did a lot of resting.
Yeah,
we were
sleep.
pretty big hermits. For the
I was
most
so
part.
worried moving to Vancouver. I was like, what am I going to do in my downtime? But
Sure.
what downtime? We didn't have any.
Our downtime was like not even a Saturday because
Yeah.
we would shoot on Friday nights and Saturday mornings.
So it was sleep.
And that's something that a lot of the fans probably don't know. Each episode that breaks down to about 42 minutes of television.
8 days.
8 days of shooting.
Yeah.
And typically around 10 to 12 hours.
Oh,
12
I would
to
say
14.
more, yeah.
Okay.
Plus,
Even
then we
worse.
both drove an hour to set and
Each
an hour
way,
home.
yeah.
All of us
Oh,
did.
where were you? So you guys were living downtown?
Downtown,
Downtown
yeah.
Vancouver. We filmed outside.
In Langley.
Langley.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, it's a long.
That means if your
long
call
time.
time's at 5:30 a.m.,
You're
you
leaving
best
at
be leaving
4:30.
the house at 4:30.
So you're waking up at
Ooh.
4. That was Monday mornings. Most
mornings.
exclusively Monday mornings like that for us.
Now, of course, television, making movies, commercials, it's always hurry up and wait. You always have to kill time on set. What do you guys?
We
no.
didn't experience
Really?
I
that
didn't
a
have
lot,
time to kill time. It was always like go, 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 go,
which
go.
is amazing.
Yeah.
That's kind of nice, though.
Amazing.
So
Killing
nice.
time on set is not fun.
It's
And
not fun.
if I am killing time, it's taking a nap.
Yeah, it's taking a nap
Well, that's
and
nice.
I don't know.
But also we would just like sit
Calling
there
your family members.
saying hi,
I'm
I'm
still
still alive.
alive.
Yeah, I'm still here.
They're paying me to do this.
Right?
Yeah.
Because and that's the other crazy thing about you're doing a first season of a TV show in Vancouver on a major network
Right.
that for most of you while you're in production hasn't been advertised or really talked about anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your family is going,
What are you doing
what are
up
you
there?
doing? What's
It's
happening?
cabin fever. It was cabin fever a little bit because
Yeah.
we were working and every day such long hours and we weren't reaping any of the benefits yet, and we weren't.
That was weird. So we
Yeah.
the majority of our, I think maybe that's normal, but the majority of our filming, nobody had seen anything yet. And now
Amazing.
that things are out, it's like a completely new world has opened up.
Which is wonderful.
Yeah.
And has the you've been here in LA? You said a couple weeks now.
No,
I've
like
been here for
a week.
literally a day, but
What's today? Wednesday? I've been.
yeah, I got in Monday night.
I've been here for 6 days. I got home a week ago.
So, any recognition yet? Walking around?
No,
Really?
Oh, really?
Not
When I
for
was
me.
in Port Orchard, where my mom lives in Washington, the
that was
first
Washington,
place.
not LA.
Okay, well, the first place I went, she was like, "Do you play Cheryl Blossom?" And then last night when I was at the movies, somebody recognized me.
They always recognize
All right.
Cammy. Well, for me, I'm like I'm a
It's
I'm
so
a
easy
blonde
to see
white
me.
girl in LA.
Yeah.
There are a couple of those.
You can't. I don't think I'm someone. You can't pick me out of a crowd. You know. You
Um,
can pick the
I
flaming
could.
redhead out of the crowd.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. Like I'm either Holland Roden or Madelaine Petsch, so
Right.
they'll just
Get
they
one of the
usually-
two.
They usually just throw it out there.
Julianne
Lydia,
Moore.
Cheryl.
Well,
there we go.
And if you guys just travel around together, you're definitely gonna. Get
Yeah. If
Yeah.
we're forever out together.
If we're ever out together,
When we're out together.
wow. Okay.
Where do we go together?
Huh.
We can't eat
wait,
at the
hang
same
on.
places.
No, I told you there's one today. We have to go try it out.
Okay.
We'll go. I'm not going to keep you here any longer. Lily, thank you so much. And I don't know if I've earned it yet, but
Yes.
Mads?
You've earned
Mads.
Oh my God, I've earned it.
Yay!
Thank you so much.
Thank
you guys
you.
have been great. Thank you so much. Riverdale fans, keep watching Thursday nights, 9 o'clock on the CW. Until next time,
Keep the
hashtag
love.
Riverdale
Strong.
Hashtag Riverdale Strong.
Grab the baby, the river's rising. Muddy water taking back the land. The old framed house, she can't take one more beating. Ain't no use to stay and make a stand. Well, a warning light shows water in the valley. Daddy's grave just went below the line. Things to say, you just can't take 'em with you. This flood will swallow all you've left behind. Won't be back to start all over. 'Cause what I felt before is gone. Take the child, the river's rising. Muddy water taking back my home. The road is gone. There's just one way to leave here. Turn my back on what I've left below. Shifting land, broken farms around me. Muddy water changing all I know. It's hard to say just what never felt so all alone. Take the child, the river's rising. Muddy water, taking back my home. Changing all I know. Muddy waters changing all I know. Lord, this muddy water is taking back my home.
Rick, move your head.